So I've lived in London for about 6 years now. We moved from the US, and what I will say is houses here are slightly different. So we started renting in Clapham, lived there for 4 years, and decided we were going to stay for longer. So it was time to kind of buy the house. Buying a house was an interesting process, but when we saw this, it was something that had a great location, great neighborhood, all the amenities that we kind of wanted. The commute was amazing. Broccoli's, 8 minutes into London Bridge. So that checked all the boxes. The house itself, well, the bones seemed good, but the layout was all wrong. We decided that we were gonna remodel. We basically needed more space and a better floor plan that kind of worked more with our lifestyle. So after working with an architect and kind of getting planning rolling, we started to get bids from builders. And I would say in the end, we ended up with 6 different bids. My trusted builder was one of the 6 and kind of fell price-wise right in the middle. Not the most expensive, not the least expensive, but based on the 6 bids we had, definitely the most detailed, which there's a certain comfort level in the detail because, they pull up things that you don't think of. So that was a good sign, number one. We had the interviews and they kind of walk through the house and you kind of describe what you want to do and what your vision is, and they tell you what's possible, what's not possible, where the problems was. And what I think my trusted builder did really well was brutally honest. This house had potential problems. When you start knocking out walls and ripping off the paint, there's surprises behind the walls, and I think that they were very honest about that from the beginning. They were honest from a financial aspect, how that might affect the price of your build, and any sort of obscure questions that we would ask, not having any idea what we're doing, keeping in mind, they would they had all the answers. Whereas some people would kind of hedge it. I think the honesty and the upfront nature of the answers that we got was really comforting. D-Day came and construction started, and demolition was the first step in that process. And I think to kind of abate some of the trust issues fears that are kind of lingering in the back of your head, Alex and his team started demolition here, and we had paid just the initial deposit. So it was really good to see a full team on site. You kind of knew who was going to be here for at least the next 6 weeks of the project. They stripped everything down, and they got a good part of the fundamental basis for the construction finished without us really overextending ourselves in terms of a financial trust, which was a really nice sign. He didn't have to do that, and it was obviously a sign of good faith on both parties' parts. The build is going. So far, so good as far as we can tell. And then, like in every build, we were told things are going to come up, and they did. Unfortunately, the architect that we had, was kind of an off-the-shelf, one-size-fits-all type solution. And what you end up finding when we break down the walls, we had a 1-brick party wall versus 2. And without going into the excruciating details, the steel structure that we had and to hold the loft up and basically make the house what we wanted it to be wasn't going to work based on the architect's original drawings, nor was it going to be safe and sensible for our neighbors, and we wanted to do the right thing by everyone. So this obviously came up. Alex alerted us to the problem, and we were kind of at a stalemate. You couldn't really proceed with the build based on a structure that wasn't going to work. And I think Alex and his team were aware of the problem so early on that they didn't want to do work that then would have to be undone. So we were alerted of the problem, had a significantly hard time with our architects trying to resolve the problem, which was running into more delays. And when you're doing a construction project, it's all consuming. It's all you can think about. And when you have members of your architectural team not willing to help you, you really feel quite helpless. So again, my trusted builder kind of jumped in and offered solutions being extended members of their team, structural engineers and architects that they had worked with previously that might be able to help. And thank God they could help, because here we are, and we, ultimately found a solution in a timely fashion, which I think was our major concern. Having been let down by other vendors, having someone that's on your side is a really comforting thing, and you end up with a solution that you have to work to get to, but you're happy with and is safe. In the original architectural plans, we realized that we really needed storage, and we really needed to maximize the space and opportunity that we had starting from scratch to put those in. So working with Alex and his team, some of my ideas were not as good as I thought they were, and they told me that. And then they helped me implement my ideas to the fullest, for sure. So the flexibility there and the open dialogue, I think, is comforting when you don't know exactly what you want, or you're still trying to figure out what you want. In a very complicated process where there's a lot of moving parts, it was comforting, and you end up getting exactly what you want. So we were thrilled with that. So nearing the end was a really fun part for us, when you all the walls are there, you're getting to pick paint colors, it starts to feel like a home. And you've had these guys in your house for 6 to 8 months, and I think I got the sense that everyone was excited that you could finally see the real fruits of everyone's labor. So I would say at the end is where I maybe had initial concerns that they would kind of throw up the house and it would be great, and they would leave and I would be unhappy with the paintwork or the architraving or the detailing, and the complete opposite actually happened. I think they were probably more focused on the details than I was, and I'm thrilled. Everything was done properly. Sometimes it took longer than I thought it should, but at the end of the day, when you look at the quality of the workmanship, you appreciate the time that went into it. And I couldn't be happier. And as far as a recommendation for my trusted builder goes, I hopefully what I've said speaks for itself, and hopefully the house speaks for itself, but I couldn't recommend them highly enough. So I think this is what I would call the heart of the home, and I think this is what I wanted it to be. I grew up where the kitchen was the kind of the center of the household and where everyone ended up hanging out. So it was really important to us that when you kind of came in the door, you see the kind of the heart of the home, where all the food that you cook with love is made, and it was still a comfortable space where you could, sit down and watch TV, talk to the chef, talk to your friends in the back. It was kind of a free, flowing space. So I'm really happy. The high ceilings really help. I think, looking around, there aren't any kind of dead spots. There isn't anywhere where someone would feel uncomfortable being, which was important. Enough room for the chef, enough room for the guests, and life can flow around it. So, really happy.